What's up?
Speaking of aces,
I watch that
there
guy
are two
play
of them.
PokerGO streams all the time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
One of the best.
1700.
Cool. I got the cooler, one of the geniuses behind the game. It's a great story.
I love Stone's attitude about it. Realizes he got a little lucky, coolered off Chewy.
What happens if a deuce comes on the river and you
I check behind him.
No, but he's gonna
And
bet.
he shoves.
He's gonna bet like a lot of.
It looks like maybe he had ace king of hearts.
Probably tried a hero, right?
I don't know. He might have ace king of hearts. He might have. I don't know. It's tough there. I hate that spot. You had to say a deuce.
Well, the raise to 1700 draws 4 callers.
Probably go out. Probably bust. Yeah. Yeah. At that point.
In this video for CoinPoker, we have a hand from the early stages of a $3,300 buy-in tournament at the Champions Club in Texas. In this hand, we have Kim raising it up to 1,700 at 300, 600 with pocket rockets from under the gun +1 out of his 45,000 stack. Ray in the cutoff with ace-10 offsuit decides to call. Calling's fine, 3-betting's fine, whatever. Eric Baldwin, good, strong, world-class poker player on the button, playing about 50,000 deep, calls with pocket 4s, which is great. Go in the small blind with pocket 5s, calls 2, and then Arden Cho in the big blind calls with the 5-4 offsuit. I think 5-4 offsuit facing an almost 3 big blind raise can probably just let it go. You have to be very careful with the low offsuit cards because you'll end up making the bad end of the straight or a bad 2 pair or a bad pair and a bad draw. So even though stacks are deep, even though you're getting good odds, even though you're closing the action, I think it's probably prudent to let this go, even though I realize a lot of people in the spot call. Let's go to the flop.
Of course, 100%. I'm busting.
Well, you had him covered, so you.
Oh yeah, my bad.
So you would just.
Well,
circle
yeah.
it.
One orbit later, I can't.
Oh, no.
Way. What?
King 5-4, the set of 5s for saying, while
Yeah, we
Arden
all
flops a
checked.
no
We
good
checked.
2-pair.
Oh, sorry.
Baldy has a set of 4s.
How in
What
the
in the
world?
world? 9,100 in this pot for now. Checks around to Baldy.
The flop is about the most insane flop you can ask for. King of hearts, 5 of spades, 4 of spades. Ngo has the second nuts, second set. Baldwin has the third nuts, bottom set. Arden Cho has 2 pair. Kim has pocket aces, that's still pretty good. Not in this spot. And Ray has nothing. They all check around to Baldwin. You may be surprised to see the pocket 5s check in the small blind. Although, when you're out of position in a multi-way pot, someone's kind of likely to bet, so you definitely want to check in this scenario, looking to put in a check raise. Kim, with his pocket aces, you may be surprised to see that check. And I do think that's a little bit surprising. I probably would have made a bet in Kim's shoes for something like 3,000 or 4,000. The pot is 9,000. When you are playing very multi-way, typically your bet sizes should be on the smaller side, but when there is a flush and straight draw available, and you have a strong but vulnerable hand like pocket aces, I don't mind sizing it up a tiny bit to something like 3 or 4 or 5,000, something like that. You do not want to go big like 9,000 trying to get protection, because first off, no one's going to fold a straight and or flush draw. And if you do happen to be beat, you're just guaranteed to get all your money in, and you're going to be in bad shape. So betting is fine, but he does decide to check. Ray with his nothing checks, and then Eric Baldwin does go for that small bet, 3,000 into 9,000 with his pocket 4s for bottom set, which is perfectly good and reasonable. He's drawn pretty thin though, like 0%.
Fires 3K. What a flop.
Much to my surprise, Ngo with second set decides to just call. And I don't really like this play. I think in this scenario, it's highly likely someone has some sort of main hand and or some sort of draw. And if they have some sort of draw, you really don't want to give them amazing odds to call. Now, if for some reason you think the players yet to act are going to be very inclined to raise, maybe because you have some sort of live read or, you know, they're just overly aggressive against small bets and calls in general, then calling becomes quite nice. But if you don't know that, then I think you probably just want to go ahead and raise immediately, because there are so many draws available and there's no guarantee a bet's going to go in on the turn, right? Like imagine Eric Baldwin is sitting here with the, I don't know, the 7-6 suited or even the ace-3 suited or any sort of flush draw. If he bets the flop and multiple people call, he very easily could just check it behind on the turn and take a free card. And that's not really good if you're sitting there with the set. So I think you probably want to put in the raise, but calling is tricky and trappy, that's for sure.
We could see a triple elimination here.
as the case 4 and the case 5 appear. Sang just calls. Arden raises. Kim thinking, wait, what? I have the birds.
Arden Cho with her bottom 2 pair is in a disastrous spot. She has a whopping 0% equity. She puts in the raise to 15,700, and I think this is very reasonable. Kind of like I thought Ngo should put in the raise. I think Arden Cho should be even more inclined to put in a raise because 2 pair is almost always good, and it is very vulnerable to being outdrawn. So I certainly don't fault her for this play. She makes it 15,700 out of her 50,000 stack total, so that will leave her with about 35,000 behind. I would maybe go a little bit smaller just so that you can make it look like your opponents have some amount of fold equity if they do want to shove it in with some sort of draw or a king. I think once you start going to a third of your remaining stack, that looks stronger to most people, especially in live poker. But whatever, I think she definitely needs to put in the raise. Let's see what happens from here.
This is insane.
Fireworks incoming. As Kim
45,000.
makes it 45,000. It's about all Baldy has left.
Kim with the pocket aces now has a pretty gross spot because Baldwin could easily have pairs and draws and nuts, right? Ngo probably doesn't have too many super nut hands because, like I just said, he should be raising a lot of them on the flop, so you can kind of discount his range. Arden Cho has something. But given the action so far, she's the only person whose range should be definitively very, very strong and polarized. So the question becomes, is she raising something like King 10 or King Jack? Would she even check those on the flop? I don't know. Probably because she was second to act, but some people don't. Some people just lead a lot in multi-way pots. As her range gets stronger and stronger, though, to literally 2 pair and better made hands and high equity draws like straight flush draws or ace high flush draws, pocket aces shrivels up a lot. Plus, you do have to worry about both Baldwin and Ngo having something some portion of the time that crushes the pocket aces. Another difficult thing about Kim's spot here is that if he does continue, he's going to be playing for all of his money. And the problem is that Cho's not going to fold any high equity draw, given she's already put in a third of her stack. So I'm not going to say you should just definitively fold the aces, and I definitely don't want all of you in the comment section to say, oh, Jonathan Lowell result-oriented saying you would fold the aces. But in very multi-way pots, when everybody wants to put in a lot of money, or at least it seems kind of clear that's starting to happen, aces becomes a pretty reasonable hand to fold. And I think given Kim does have 45,000 chips, 75 big blinds, I think this is probably a fold unless you are playing in loose, splashy, gambly Texas games where everyone's going nuts all the time. He puts it in, though. Let's see how it plays out from here. What a wild hand, right?
The one bad hand in Khartoumis gets out of the way.
If you want your share of $100,000 that I'm giving away in free roll poker tournaments over the next year, check out pokercoaching.com/freeroll. It's just for the poker coaching community on CoinPoker. Get that money. Let's get back to the hand.
Baldy's in for it all. Sang loves it, holding the set of 5.
And he just called on this flop. He set this whole thing up by doing so. I think a little Hollywooding. Maybe he's outright concerned, but
trying to lure Arden in, perhaps.
It's all going in. Arden's chips are ready. They're in her hand.
See your friend?
Mm-hmm.
She's not my friend yet.
Of course not. No friends at the poker table.
The speech
Yeah, the little Hollywooding. This is wild.
I'm all in.
All of it.
Eric Baldwin, bottom set, easy all in. Yes, he could be crushed. I realize I just said that pocket aces should probably fold, but bottom set is way stronger than pocket aces because it beats 2 pairs and it beats top pairs, and it beats aces. While he does lose to pocket kings and pocket fives, there's only 6 combinations of those total, and, you know, such is life. When you make bottom set, as long as there are not a bunch of straights and flushes out there, you're trying to put your money in. Go! Easy all in. He set it up beautifully. He gets it all in. Super duper good. Around to Arden Cho with bottom 2 pair. Can she find the fold?
From Sang, all of it from Arden. We have a 4-way all in.
Oh, I knew it.
And 2 of them are stone dead.
Crazy.
Arden Cho and Eric Baldwin cannot win
What?
this
Any
pot.
5? Is that my only out? Oh, no out.
Nope.
Oh my god.
This is unbelievable.
Bro, those.
Kim needs an ace or running cards to
Oh,
make a
okay.
straight.
No flush
All
draw.
right. Nice hand.
Estimate, we can.
We say good game, and we can say that right now to both Arden Cho and Eric Baldwin.
They're just gone.
They're gone.
They've walked
Arden
off.
decides to put the remaining 35,000 or so over stack in the pot, and I certainly don't falter for this. However, if there ever is a time to find a fold with bottom 2 pair, I think this is it. Because if you consider the hands that are just happy to load a bunch of money in, like 75 big blinds on the flop, well, what are those? It's probably gonna be something like ace, king, and better, just in general for value, right? And then good, strong, high equity draws, and they can't all have a good, strong, high equity draw, given there are 3 other people in the pot. So what are good, strong, high equity hands? Like I said, ace, king, and better. But if you consider Baldwin's and Go's pre-flop ranges, they probably don't have aces or ace, king, or kings in their range. But they could have king 5 suited, king 4 suited, pocket 5s, and pocket 4s. Those are very much in their range. So you're going to be super duper dominated some chunk of the time. And the problem with the 5-4 for bottom 2 pairs is that when you are behind a better made hand, like a set, you are just dead with 0% equity. And right here you see she does have exactly 0% equity. The only time this works out really well for her is when Kim, the initial preflop raiser, has like aces or ace king, and then both Baldwin and Go have some sort of high equity draw. But even then, they have high equity draws. They're 40-ish%, right? And on top of that, Kim, even if he does have aces, he has outs to improve to beat the 5-4. So even though Arden's getting amazing odds, I think it probably makes sense to save your remaining 60 big blinds. But again, I don't falter for finding the call because, you know, pot odds, we're playing in Texas, etc., etc. Let's see who wins.
What just
Before we
happened,
see a
man?
turn card.
Set over aces. And 2
The turn is a deuce.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Ace or a 3 for Kim would do the trick. Look at these hands.
She's not dead with the deuce here.
Must be a super diva.
River card.
Oh, my
and it is an ace. How?
Oh my gosh. How in the world?
The river is the ace of spades. If anybody had a spade in their hand, they would have won this pot. Instead, just top set wins. Lots of people go broke. And Kim, somehow, some way, scoops a massive pot. Before we wrap it up today, what I want to know is what is the craziest hand you have ever witnessed on a poker stream? And if you feel like linking me to it, feel free to put a link down in the comment section below. While you're down there, click the like button, click the notification bell. Thank you very much. Good luck in your games. When you make bottom set or middle set, I hope you don't lose. And I'll talk to you next time.